Hello everyone and welcome to 2022 and my first crafting diary. It is the 4th of January and I have managed to tick off one of the most annoying items on my to-do list, padding out my dress form to more or less fit my dimensions. But first, a bit of backstory. Over lockdown I got into crafting and costume especially, and I decided that I needed a dress form to really make the most of it. Following the advice I found here on YouTube, I decided to buy one that was a wee bit too small so that then I could pad it out to fit my dimensions, since generally speaking it is easier to add things than take it away, especially when taking it away would probably involve a cheese grater on polystyrene, which sounds horrifying. So I found one online that was a dress size smaller than I typically look for when I'm shopping, and I ordered it. Then it arrived and I took it out of its box and the thing had no ass. It was just completely sheer. Just like a cliff. Here's a picture of it. So it was pretty clear that that wasn't going to work. And I decided to try padding it out. I mean, it was what I intended to do from the beginning, right? Only the first time I pretty much used whatever I could find. A doll's crib pillow, pom-poms, some balls of yarn, and surprise, surprise, that didn't work out, so I looked for another way. The second try was with pool noodles and vet tape and bits of polystyrene from the packaging from a pair of boots my mum got, and about 50 pins. Really, lots of pins, this many pins. Technically it worked. Technically it padded out the circumference of my dress form to the required measurements. In every other way it was a terrible idea and a complete disaster. For one thing, it stuck out at the back in a weird kind of inhuman angle. It did not help overly much making things fit. For another, all those pins holding it in place were A, not being used for things I actually needed to use them for, and B, got caught on everything. Also stabbed me. Also stabbed the fabric. Also caught on stitches and loose threads, and we're just terrible. Oh, and C, you can pin into it, and I was always terrified the entire thing was just gonna fall off and send pins everywhere. And yeah, it was bad. And if you think I'm overreacting, here, have a look at my pool noodle Frankenstein. And so because of how awful it looked and everything, I basically never used my dress form if I could avoid it. Which was stupid because I didn't buy the darn thing to be a piece of decor. I wanted to use it. I had hems that needed to be hemmed. Anyway, the new year was coming up. In fact, it was the next day by that point. And I decided that enough was enough. I was going to make a proper set of pads for my dress form so I could actually use it. This happened while I was watching Opus Eleni's review of 2021, and she happened to be showing off her excellent pumpkin butt, aka the 1790s false rump by Scroop Patterns, in delightful orange fabric. And I thought to myself, I can do that probably. Part of my reasoning was practical. It looked like an incredibly efficient way to pad out a rear end after all. But I'm not gonna lie, it was also because I had several meters of similarly bright orange fabric left over from Halloween that I wanted to use up, plus lots of teddy bear stuffing from a previous cosplay. I did that thing where you spend the minimum to get cheaper postage and ended up with a lot more than I expected. How much more? This is what's left. So I started work on the false rump, which, yes, I do enjoy saying quite a lot. But I did the work mostly on New Year's Eve, and then I finished it up on New Year's Day. And I have to say the pattern was great. No problems there. It was fantastic. It was really thorough and explained things every step of the way, so even a complete noob like I am could work out what I was supposed to do. I especially appreciate their descriptions of the different stitches, because the herringbone stitch, I think, clicked in a way that I hadn't before. The over, under, diagonally sideways thing had always kind of flummoxed me. But I think I get it now, mostly. There was only one problem, and it did become clear pretty quickly, but I kept going because I wanted to see how big of a problem it would become. I started to stuff the rump, and I kept stuffing it, and I kept stuffing it, and yep, more stuffing went in because I had picked quite a stretchy fabric, it turns out, and just kept stuffing more and more up there. This was probably also because I had decided to make the larger size because I figured it would fit my frame the best, but no, that wasn't how it worked out. In fact, have a look. So I decided to go to plan C, D by this point. Actually, the original backup to this plan was just to make a smaller size of the original rump, go from extra large to large. But that was very clearly not going to be drastic enough. The current one was gigantic. I needed it to be only moderately large to match me. I scaled the pattern down, really down, and I realised that I was basically making a Victorian butt pad, like for the bustle era. That basically meant that I also needed to make some hip pads too, because if I wanted it to be round, it needed to go all the way around and not just stick out the back like a bustle, which was, after all, one of the main problems of the pool noodle Frankenstein version. It had just stuck out the back, and that's not how I or most people are shaped. But yeah, aside from that, when I got down to making the pattern, I pretty much just reused the same Scroop pattern. The quilting lines are in the same spots, and I just did the exact same thing for attaching the waist tape because it's a really smart way of attaching waist tape, and I'm going to be using it for everything. But yeah, here it is. And there we go. One dress form that actually fits my measurements, to within a little bit of give or take. But I am so glad this is done. Really, it was weighing on me, and I was using the fact that I hated using the dress form to procrastinate on doing anything else on my to-do list. And hopefully in the future I won't get stabbed by pins so much. Good things come to those who actually do the work. If you would like to see some of those next adventures in crafting and video making, please subscribe. If you found this video funny or educational, please like the video. Do all those things that make the YouTube algorithm go whir. Say hi in the comments. Tell me that I'm doing everything wrong if you want. I know I made a mess of this one, so my ego is actually pretty Teflon coated. Though don't take that as a dare to be awful, be nice. And here's where I would be signing off normally, but I recorded a video of me taking off all the pool noodle Frankenstein nonsense, and I thought you folks would like to see the chaos. I was still finding pins embedded in the dress form a couple of days later, so yeah, that's a lot of pins, folks. Don't do what I did, just make the padding like a normal person.